Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at the book The Left Hand of Darkness. And this is the Folio Society Edition that I'm going to be looking at here in this video. So I'm going to show off the book, and then I'm going to actually review the story because I just recently read it, and it is actually quite good. So a little bit about the background of the book. So The Left Hand of Darkness was originally published in 1969 by Ace Books and written by Ursula K. Guin, winner of the Nebula Award and Hugo Award in 1970, ranked number 2 best-selling science fiction book of all time in 1987 by the science fiction news and trade journal Locus, based on polls of its subscribers. And the Folio Edition was published in 2018. So let's take a closer look now at The Left Hand of Darkness from the Folio Society. So here's the slipcase. It's got that theme of snow on the outside of it that's done in silver. It's a really nice looking slipcase. And there's a look at the title, The Left Hand of Darkness, done in silver. And Ursula K. Guin, really nice looking spine. This looks really good on the bookshelf. And there's the cover. It looks great. Really nice. Same thing. It's got the snow again done in silver. And like all folio books, it's got illustrations done throughout. There's the back of the book. And it's got something on. It's like it feels really good. It's almost like a really slippery material they've done the cover over with in this edition. It's really nice. It feels really nice when you hold it, and when you read it, it's really comfortable to read. And here's the end papers. That's the two main characters there. Title, Left Hand of Darkness. Ursula K. Guin, The Left Hand of Darkness. London Folio Society 2018. Introduction by Becky Chambers. Illustrations by David Lupton. And on this side is the printing information there. Table of contents. So now I'll take a look at some of the illustrations throughout this book. So here's the first one. And they always have the illustrations kind of mixed in with some of the text. And the illustrations really suit the theme of the story. Or not theme, I guess the feel of the story. That's what I found. This illustration here is actually one of my favorite ones in the book. And here's the two end papers, same as what is in the front of the book. So now that I've taken a closer look at the book and showed some of the illustrations and stuff, now I'll get into the story. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the setup of this universe. Because if you go in cold, for me anyway, it was kind of confusing and it took me a little bit to get my bearings. Where if I had this knowledge beforehand, it would have helped me a bit. So what I'm going to talk about now, this is not going to spoil anything about the story, but this is just going to give you set up the universe that this story is placed in. The story is set in the fictional Hainish universe, where humans did not evolve on Earth but a planet called Hain. The people of Hain colonized many neighboring planets, including Earth, millions of years in the past. The people of Hain conducted genetic experiments on the groups that seeded these colony worlds. which created some interesting differences between these human groups. So this Hainish universe, Ursula K. Le Guin actually has quite a few stories set in this universe, but they're not connected. So they're all like standalone stories that just happen to take place in the same universe. So The Left Hand of Darkness is a standalone story. You don't have to read the other books that are connected to the Hain universe or the Hainish universe. And so that's the setup. So imagine now that we're living here on Earth and we think we naturally evolved here, but really we were brought here from another planet and our home planet is actually somewhere else, but that knowledge is lost to us. So it's kind of the same scenario as Battlestar Galactica, or if you've ever heard of the book or read the book Chariot of the Gods by Eric von Daniken, or any of the books by Zechariah Stitchin. That's kind of the setup for this. At some point, these human colonies lost contact with each other for what I suspect is millions of years. It is now far into the future from our present time, and these human colonies are rediscovering each other. And they are reforming a galactic civilization of united worlds called the Ecumen. So now all these planets that got seeded, they somehow, and this isn't explained, this is left a mystery, they lost contact with each other. So they don't know about each other's existence, so you have all these isolated pockets of humans all over the galaxy. So now spaceflight, I guess, has been rediscovered, and now humans are starting to rediscover each other across the galaxy, and they're reforming a galactic civilization. And this civilization is called the Ecumen. And it's kind of like the United Federation of Planets, but different. It's a lot more libertarian. They kind of leave everyone, they leave each other alone kind of deal. The setting of the story is the planet Gethin, also known as Winter. The humans on this planet are ambisexual. So they are neither woman or man, but a combination. However, every 26 days, they need to mate and become highly sexually receptive, depending on who they are with and the context of the relationship with that person. They become either male or female. This period of time is called Kimmery. So that's very important because that's the main hitch of the whole story, is this genetic modification that has been done by these particular group of humans that was seeded Gethin a long time ago by the people of Hain. They're kind of like non-binary, I guess. I don't really know the word or to put it. They're not really a man or a woman. They're kind of like in between until they become sexually active. That only happens once every 26 days. So the rest of the time, they basically have no sex drive at all until they hit that one period. And then I guess it's really intense. And depending on who they're with, they'll either convert to a man or a woman. So that's the setup for that. And on this planet, the two major kingdoms or territories of Gethin is Karhide, ruled by King Argaven, Harg. The second territory is Orgorin, and it is ruled by a trinity of three. These two territories are at odds with each other over a border dispute. So that's the setup of the planet now. So there's two major powers on this planet. I think there are other countries, but these are the two major ones. And they got a border dispute going over this, and I do believe it's over a valley. So the main character that we follow in the story is a character called Genli A. Now, the last name is spelled A-I, but I don't know if it's just pronounced A or there's some other pronunciation. I just called it A because he's usually referred to as Mr. A. So he's a man from Earth who has been sent to Gethin by the Ecumen as an envoy, whose diplomatic mission is to convince the people of Winter to join the greater galactic community of the Ecumen. So that's his purpose of going to this planet. And the secondary character that we follow is a character called Estraven, and he is the Prime Minister of Karhide. So that's the whole universe setup. So a little bit about the plot. So this character of Genli is, like I said, he's on this planet, and his mission is to bring them into this greater galactic civilization. But a few challenges is he has one barrier ahead of him, and it's their culture, because they don't have like a two-gender society like where he's from, and gender is like totally different on this planet. It's almost like the gender roles that we normally think of don't exist on this planet, and so that has really shaped their culture and their society. So it's create like a cultural barrier for this character that he has a really real problem getting past. And the other problem is none of the people in power really buy his story. They really don't believe him that he's from another planet. because from their point of view, they think they're the only humans and they naturally evolved on this planet, Gethin, on their own, and that they weren't ever seeded. So they're very skeptical of his story. Now, the only one that does buy into his story is this character of Estraven. He believes him, and he wants this planet to join. But he gets accused of being a traitor, and because he's supposed to be facilitating this border dispute, but they kind of feel he's a little bit too much on the other side with the other country. So actually he gets banished from Karhide and sent to the other country. And the other thing is Genly doesn't trust Estraven at all. He really thinks he doesn't really trust him, because there's this weird thing in their culture that it's a really complex way of nonverbal communication that it's totally lost on him, and that's where him and this character don't connect up. So he doesn't really have a whole lot of luck in Karhide. So then Genly goes to the other country they're competing with over this border dispute, and confronts the Trinity of Three, and thinking that he's going to have more luck there. And they seem a lot more receptive to his ideas than what they did over in Karhide. But there is something very sinister about that country, and things don't go very well for the character of Genly. So that's the setup of the book, that's the plot, and it all deals with that. So now I'm going to get into some of the things that I liked about the book. One thing I really liked about this book is the world building. The author did a great job of building this world up, and so it really paints a clear picture in your mind of what this world is like, and the culture, and how the people are, and how they act, and all that, and the way the way gender works on this planet. Really, the author really does a good job of illustrating how that impacts their society and their culture, and how everything is shaped. And there's also this idea in the book that I like. It's like a philosophy of, you always have to have a balance between light and dark, and between good and evil. And if that balance gets upset either way, that's when things really get thrown into chaos. And the other thing is, this book really touches upon is the building of a friendship, and how that friendship gets built, and how cultural differences can be overcome. And once you overcome them, and you can find like a mutual understanding between each other, like a really good, really powerful friendship can form from that. So that's another really strong theme in the book. Now, there's not really anything I didn't like about this book. This is a pretty solid science fiction book. But this one thing is, it's not really a dislike, but it's like a challenge. Now, this is something I mentioned earlier. So when I started reading this book, there's a lot of terminology, there's a lot of like myths interwoven into the story, and there's a lot of bizarre words that you have to wrap your brain around, and a lot of bizarre customs and cultures and themes and ideas in this book. And there's no setup for it, really. You're just thrown right into the story. When it starts off, you're totally lost, and you're trying to figure out what is going on, what is up with these people. So I found it actually kind of hard to follow what was going on for at least the first 2 chapters, before I kind of got my bearings and kind of was able to figure, okay, this is what's happening in this world, and it kind of all unfolded for me. So now I don't know if that's something that's intentional by the author. So then you're kind of more in the shoes of the central character of Genly, because he's like that too in the book. He doesn't get this culture at all. It's a huge barrier between them. It's a lot like the first time you read Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune. There's a lot of words, there's a lot of philosophy in the book. So it's kind of like, the first time I read it, I really liked Dune, but then I had to reread it again. And so this is the same thing. I think this is a book that really needs a second read, or even multiple reads, because there's a lot of ideas in here, and there's a lot of themes in here, and there's lots to unpack with this story. It's pretty dense. So that's what I like about it. On top of that, so that's what I like about it. But so I don't really have any complaints. One other thing I want to talk about is I really like the 2 main characters of Genly and Estraven. I really like those 2. Genly, what I liked about him is just like a regular 9-to-5 guy. Like, he didn't have any special superpowers. He wasn't like an action guy, nothing like that. So he really suffers in this book when you go along. Some really bad stuff happens to him, and he can't just shoot or punch his way out of it, because he's not that kind of guy. He's just a diplomat. And I really like that part of the book. It gave you a really down-to-earth character that you could really get in that character's shoes, because that's what would happen to most regular people in that situation. That's my thoughts on the book. It's not a light read by any means. Now, it is a short read. It's less than 300 pages, so if you can read fast, I read it in like 2 days, but I really concentrated hard and really powered through it. So I got through it in a couple days. But some people could probably do it in an evening. So it's not a long book. It's quite a bit shorter than Dune, but it is a pretty dense book. And it's kind of gotten me curious now that this is part of like this larger universe or whatever, the Hainish universe. I might seek out some other books that take place within that universe as well. But definitely a sci-fi classic. If you get a chance, pick this one up and read it. It is awesome. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.